My name is Daniel Carter. I am 32 years old and I live in Columbus, Ohio. I work in a small bookstore near downtown. The bookstore is not very big, but I like it. Every morning I wake up at 6:30, make a cup of coffee, and walk to work. My life is quiet. Most people think I am a calm person. Some people think I am shy. The truth is different. I was not always this way. Years ago, I loved talking to people. I loved spending time with friends. I laughed often. I had dreams for my future. But something happened, and after that, I changed. A woman named Emily broke my heart. We were together for 6 years. I thought we would get married one day. We talked about buying a house. We talked about having children. We talked about growing old together. Then one afternoon, everything changed. Emily told me she was leaving. She had fallen in love with another man. I could not believe it. My heart felt heavy. I felt lost. After she left, I stopped trusting people. I stopped opening my heart. I built a wall around my feelings. I told myself that nobody would ever hurt me again. For 3 years, I lived the same life every day. I went to work, I came home, I watched television, I went to sleep. I did not go to parties. I did not meet new people. I stayed alone. At first, I thought being alone would make me feel safe, but after a while, it only made me feel lonely. One rainy afternoon in October, a woman walked into the bookstore. She carried a yellow umbrella and wore a green jacket. She smiled as soon as she came inside. "Hello," she said. "Can you help me find a good book?" I looked up from my work. "Sure," I said. "What kind of book do you like?" "Something interesting," she replied with a laugh. I showed her a few books. She looked at them carefully and chose one. Before leaving, she smiled again and said, "Thank you. Maybe I'll come back next week." I nodded and returned to work. I did not think much about it. But she did come back next week. Then she came back again. Soon I saw her almost every week. Her name was Sarah Mitchell. She was a teacher at a local elementary school. She loved reading, walking in parks, and helping people. Sarah was friendly with everyone. She talked to customers, she talked to workers, she even talked to strangers waiting at bus stops. One afternoon, she came into the bookstore carrying 2 cups of coffee. She placed one on the counter. "This is for you," she said. I looked surprised. "Why?" I asked. "Because you always look tired," she said with a smile. I laughed a little. It was the first time I had laughed in days. Sarah noticed. "There it is," she said. "You have a nice smile. You should use it more often." I shook my head, but I could not stop smiling. Over the next few months, Sarah and I became friends. Sarah visited the bookstore often. Sometimes she bought books. Sometimes she only stopped by to say hello. We talked about movies, food, sports, and life. Little by little, I started looking forward to seeing her. One Saturday morning, Sarah invited me to a community picnic in a city park. My first answer was no. It was always no. But Sarah crossed her arms and looked at me. "You need to get out of this bookstore," she said. "The world is bigger than books." I laughed. "Books are pretty big." "Nice try," she replied. "You're coming." So I went. The park was full of people. Children were running across the grass. Families were eating lunch. A local band was playing music. At first, I felt uncomfortable. I stood by myself and watched everyone. Sarah walked over and handed me a lemonade. "You look nervous," she said. "Maybe I am." "Why?" she asked. I looked around. "I don't know. I haven't done something like this in a long time." Sarah nodded. "Then today is a good day to start." We spent the afternoon talking and walking through the park.
For the first time in years, I enjoyed being around other people. After that day, I started saying yes more often. When friends invited me somewhere, I went. When family members called, I answered. My life slowly became brighter. One evening, Sarah and I sat near a lake and watched the sunset. The sky was orange, pink, and gold. The water looked beautiful. After a few minutes, Sarah asked a question.
"Daniel, why do you keep people so far away?" I looked down at the ground. I knew what she meant. For a long moment, I said nothing. And I told her about Emily. I told her about the pain. I told her how afraid I was of getting hurt again. Sarah listened quietly. When I finished, she took a deep breath. "I understand," she said. "You do?" I asked. She nodded. "More than you know." Then she told me something I did not expect. Her husband had died several years earlier. She loved him very much. After he died, she stopped talking to people. She stayed home. She pushed everyone away. She felt alone for a long time. "Then what changed?" I asked. Sarah smiled softly. "One day I realized something important. A closed heart keeps pain out, but it also keeps happiness out." I thought about those words for days. A closed heart keeps pain out, but it also keeps happiness out. I realized she was right. I had spent years protecting myself from pain, but I had also been protecting myself from joy, friendship, and love. Slowly, I began opening my heart again. It was not easy. Some days were hard. Some days I still felt afraid, but every small step made me stronger. Months passed. Winter came to Ohio. Snow covered the streets and rooftops. Christmas lights filled the city with color. One evening, Sarah and I walked through downtown Columbus. The streets were bright and beautiful. Christmas music played from nearby stores. People laughed and carried shopping bags. We stopped in front of a huge Christmas tree covered with thousands of lights. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I looked at Sarah. "Thank you," I said. "For what?" she asked. "For helping me find myself again." Sarah smiled. "You found yourself, Daniel. I only reminded you where to look." I smiled back. For the first time in many years, my heart felt light. I was not thinking about the past anymore. I was thinking about the future. I knew life would never be perfect. I knew people could still disappoint me. I knew pain would always be part of life. But I also knew something else. Happiness is worth the risk. Friendship is worth the risk. Love is worth the risk. That night, as snow fell softly around us, I realized my heart was no longer closed. It was open again. And because it was open, hope had found its way back inside.